If you recall, a few months back I did a review on an awesome DM's Guild product called The Monster Manual Expanded by Dragonix. And if you're curious now, a sequel has been released, including more monsters for 5th edition, some legendary creatures that do not have stat blocks, like, say, Lolth or Asmodeus, as well as a bunch of expansions for existing characters. I'm going to go over that release and a handful of different monsters from it, so if any of that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned. So here we are on the DM's Guild taking a look at Monster Manual 2, or Monster Manual Expanded number 2. It is a $20 module that you can purchase via PDF on the DM's Guild. You can see it's already a best Electrum seller at this point. It's only been released, maybe 2 weeks ago at this point on Halloween. It has 16 reviews and a rating of 5 full stars, which means basically what you're going to see from me, it is well worth your time. Take a quick look at some key points here, right? 380 creature stat blocks. And we've added more stuff with the Electrum unlock here. Again, you can see some other products that I've reviewed in the past from Monster Manual Expanded. So, very good stuff. One thing I do want to say is make sure you stick around for the length of this review, as I'll be giving away 10 copies of it. So if you want to see how to do that, well, you'll just have to hang around and wait. So I have a copy right here. I'm going to skip to the top. And last time I did 10 different monsters in the Monster Manual Expanded number 1. I think that was a little bit too much just for the length of the video. So for this one, I'm probably going to give you 5, not necessarily the top 5, but maybe my top 5 are the ones that interested me the most in this book. And then that'll pretty much be it. So where to start? We can go ahead and scroll down and take a look at the table of contents. And you can see we have a bunch of creatures, some of which may be new to 5th edition. Some are just expansions of existing creatures. Obviously, there's a bunch, like, this is pretty cool, a bunch of different beholders. But if you take a look right here, see there's all these demon aspects. So we have different aspects of the different demon lords here. You can see we have a stat block for Lolth, like I was saying, a creature that did not, a technical demon lord that did not get a stat block contained in Out of the Abyss or Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. If we scroll down to devils, we have aspects of the devils, but we also have stat blocks for Asmodeus, Dispater, and Mephistopheles. I believe devils that don't have any stat blocks contained in Descent into Avernus. And then you can see just, again, a large expansion of every other type of creature, as well as a bunch of cultist NPCs and just other general non-player character NPCs like we'd see at the back of a monster manual or a similar book. So now I'm going to roll into, and there's also, we could look at the art, man. The art is chosen, whether it was chosen or created specifically for this, it is fantastic. So anyway, let's take a look at my top 5 contained within here. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I went and downloaded the newest version because there's some cool new creatures in there that I did want to show you. So let's go ahead and take a look at the start here. What I want to show you first is a new beholder. So there are several new beholders here in this book. You can see here's the Doom Sphere. I'll scroll past that. The Eye of the Deep, which is your underwater beholder. Again, could have use in your Salt Marsh campaign, possibly. What I want to show you is the Gouger. This is actually a creature that I was planning to replicate myself in 5th edition. I was going to make stat block for it. And I think it was originally released in the Monsters of Faerun small little book for 3.5. But what's really cool is a Gouger is a beholder designed to kill and hunt other beholders, which I thought was really cool. And you can see it says right at the top, designed to hunt and kill other beholders, slightly larger than a normal beholder, possess some magical powers associated with them. But what's cool is they kind of run on these little legs. I guess it says that here they can hover. I thought in the original one they could run. But what's cool is let's see, advantage on attack rolls and saving throws against beholders. It has the anti-magic cone from the eye. It has multi-attack, it has a bite, it has its tongue, which is pretty nasty. If target is a creature, it must succeed on a DC 15 saving throw, be blinded. If the blinded creature is a beholder, it loses its ability to use one of its eye rays or central eye while blinded. Each time the beholder target fails its saving throw, it loses another use of its eye ray or central eye. And then it can also use eye rays out of its eyes, because it does have them on the top here. So it gives you 4 different eyes: paralyzing, fear, telekinetic, disintegration, and it has legendary actions. 3 of them, 1 to use an eye ray or 2 to make a tongue attack. And it makes 3 attacks, 1 with its bite and 2 with its 1 with its bite or tongue, or 2 with its eye rays. So it's just an interesting creature. I've always found them interesting because they are basically a beholderkin designed to destroy and hunt down other beholders. And obviously, I can't tell you the way you could run this in a campaign, but there's a lot of really interesting concepts, I feel like, behind this, especially if your players aren't familiar with these creatures. The fact that someone either has or has created, however you want to work it in your game, that these creatures have been developed to hunt down other beholders. It's a beholder you're using on your side, sort of. Anyway, I thought they were really cool. And it saved me the trouble of having to design them myself. Second one I want to show you is, I've never figured out how the hell you pronounce this. It's a dragon. Anyway, I really like these creatures from back in 3.5. I think they were originally introduced in the Draconomicon back then. And the reason that I liked them, personally, was they were an alternate to the mount, or in the 5th edition equivalent of a fine steed for a paladin. You could get one of these. And it may be, we'll have to look, but they're both a little too powerful, I feel like, in this. I think these were one of them, a little too powerful in 5e to make them available in that respect, but you obviously could if you wanted to. Or your subspecies of dragon that appears to be a cross between a lion and a dragon. They live in dense jungles and savannas. They're territorial creatures, but will often let out warning roars to scare away would-be intruders. Those that do not take heed, however, become prey and are treated at the full brunt of its roar, a thunderous rumble that weakens the body and the mind, allowing the dragon to tear apart and rend its targets. So here you can see the adult one. We're talking about a challenge rating 11 creature. It's got an 80-foot fly speed, and it's still a 40-foot speed on the ground. It's got a stunning pounce if it moves straight towards a creature and hits them with a claw attack. You must succeed on a DC 18 strength save or be knocked prone and stunned until the end of its next turn. Makes 3 attacks, 1 with its bite and 2 with its claws, which the bite is a 10-foot reach. 3d6 plus 6 damage is no joke. And then the roar is recharge 5/6. Each creature within 120 feet must succeed on a DC 16 Wisdom saving throw or gain 2 levels of exhaustion. Legendary actions are make a perception check, bite, or do a wing attack, which each creature within 15 feet must make a dex save, take some damage, and be knocked prone, and it's allowed to fly up to half its speed. Looks like the young one, which is only a challenge rating 5, has pretty much everything else, except it's 1 level of exhaustion, less damage, and no legendary actions. It's a really cool looking creature. Even if you weren't going to attempt to possibly use it as a mount or something for someone, which I could understand. Challenge rating 11 or challenge rating 5 is way too high to typically grant one of your players as just something they can use as something they ride on. Perhaps they find a baby one and you let them go through the, raising one kind of thing, and you make up your own stat block. Either way, it's something I'm sure most of your players have never seen if they haven't played older editions. So this would just be a cool thing to add into a game, especially if you have newer players. Probably going to do more than 5, I've decided, because I found a whole bunch that I like. Gnolls, if you know anything about me, you know that gnolls are one of my favorite creatures in 5th edition. One of my favorite monsters. So there's a whole bunch of new gnolls in here, which made me very excited. I'm going to skip the Flind Captain in favor of the Flind Queen, which I thought was pretty badass. The most savage and cunning member of a gnoll tribe, the Flind Queen is most favored by Yeenoghu and is greatly revered by its kin. It's a bloodthirsty warrior. She is never without her cadre of Flind bodyguards and is often gifted by Yeenoghu with a pack of Shusuva. So you can see here, challenge rating 14, this is no joke. We've got Splint Mail and a shield, a decent chunk of hit points. If it isn't incapacitated, any creature with the Rampage trait, which we'll see... Actually, neither of the Flynns have it, so it must be just regular Gnolls have it, yeah. Can make a bite attack as a bonus action while within 10 feet of the Flynn. Has Indomitable twice a day, and some low-level innate spellcasting, Dispel Magic, Fear, and Invisibility. Makes 4 melee attacks, one with each of its different flail attacks and one with its bite. Bite is pretty simple, d6 plus 5, but we've got the 3 Flynn strikes here. Flail of Madness, D10 damage plus 6, DC 19 Wisdom save, or must make a melee attack against a random target within reach. Flail of Pain. Oh wait, it says if it has no targets within reach after moving, it loses its action on that turn. Flail of Pain just does an extra 40-10 damage, and Flail of Paralysis is a DC 19 con save or be paralyzed. Then we've got legendary actions. 3 of them, Charge and Bite, are 1. Flail is 2, and Battlefield Savagery is 3. Up to 3 Gnoll allies within 60 feet of the Flynn that can hear it use their reactions to make 1 melee attack with advantage on the roll. This, again, is apparently she's usually not left without a pack of Shusuva as well as a Flynn bodyguard cadre, so this last one here, giving other people attacks rolls with advantage, could be pretty... It's up to 3, but as a reaction, having 3 people make attacks is pretty solid. Alright, next up is Hags. So we have some elder versions of existing Hags. But what I wanted to talk about was the Black Hag, which is a new one added into this particular document. Disgusting and horrid-looking monster, a wild, wiry hair that thankfully partially covers her grotesque face, and her grayish-black skin is riddled with warts and pus. She prefers to live in dark recesses of caves, in the gloomiest forests, or most treacherous swamps. And she is basically a worshipper of Jewy-Blacks or Orcus, so 2 demon lords, and here we can see what she looks like, pretty gross-looking. Here are her stats. She's only a challenge rating 4, which has got Spider Climb, so she can get into some weird grudge, exorcist-style stuff with that. Resistant to acid, poison, and necrotic. Her innate spellcasting is Animate Dead, Enervation. Enervation's pretty solid. And Negative Energy Flood. So, Animate Dead, you could give her undead minions, which would be pretty sweet, especially if it's once per day. She could do this over time to build a small little group of undead. Her claws do 2d8 plus 3 slashing. Make a con save. The target takes 48 plus 15 additional damage on a con save, in necrotic damage on a con save, or half on a success. A humanoid killed by this rises at the start of the Hag's next turn as a zombie, permanently under the Hag's control, and she can polymorph herself into another creature. And we have stats here for an Elder one, which you can see has significantly more spellcasting and jumps up to challenge rating 11, and gets this horrifying cackle ability. So pretty awesome. It's a different type of Hag. I really like Hags. I like Gnolls and Hags. Those are really creatures I enjoy throwing at people, so this really fits my bill for this. I mean, again, I was provided this as a review copy, but this is still my opinion entirely, and again, I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm not going to go into this too much, but there's stats in here for a Headless Horseman, which is awesome, because who doesn't love a Headless Horseman story? But there is one here, and you should check it out. Just flip down and kind of take a quick look at the stat block. Alright, next up is the Flame Salamander, which I thought was pretty interesting. Also, this art is really cool, because it's the Frost Salamander that's contained, I think, in either Mordenkainen's or Volo's, and then there's the Flame Salamander. But what's interesting is there's a Salamander contained in the monster manual. It starts off as the Fire Snake, and then it evolves into the Salamander, and that is sort of the I don't want to say the D&D Salamander, but it's the sort of almost like snake-like lower half, possibly four-armed, but at least, you know, like two-handed upper half, and it's like a fully sentient creature, and it has a whole long stat block. So I was actually a little surprised to see the Flame Salamander. Massive fire elementals that resemble gigantic lizards with elongated, slender bodies. Their skin looks like burning coals. They are normally found in the elemental plane of fire. I thought that was interesting because I thought that the salamander in the monster manual was the flame salamander, which is why they clarified the frost salamander in whether it was Mordenkainen's or Volo's. But this one is the more bestial version. So, excuse me. I wanted to take a look at it. It's more or less a direct mimic of the frost salamander, but I thought it was intriguing that this exists here when there is technically a flame salamander in the monster manual. Pretty fast. It looks pretty much exact opposite. Vulnerable to cold damage, immune to fire. Has a fire aura, so if you hit it, you're going to take fire damage. When it takes cold damage, its flame breath automatically recharges. Because the thought is this thing eats cold, just like a frost salamander eats fire. 4 attacks, 1 with its bite, 1 to constrict, and 2 with its claws. Bite does extra fire damage. Constrict is going to do fire damage because you're touching it and you're grappled. If you're grappled, you are restrained. And the fire breath is a 60-foot cone dealing 8d8 fire damage on a failed dexterity saving throw. And lastly, of the monsters, I wanted to take a look at the Wendigo, which was added in the Electrum bestseller update, which is why you notice it's not here under the bookmarks. Also because Wendigos I'm using in my games, and I love the concept of the Wendigo kind of folklore creature. Plus, they look just disgustingly nasty. Check this out. This is more or less how I want to be running them in my games, right? They have immunity to specifically, it says cold and bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical attacks that aren't made with silver weapons. In my game, I'm running them without that, but they have a charge attack as they do have horns. Advantage on wisdom perception checks. They have some spellcasting here, right? Chill touch at will, dancing lights detect magic, greater invisibility, and wind walk on themselves. Maddening Whispers as a bonus action. It chooses a creature within 60 feet to make a DC 16 wisdom save, or take 2d8 plus 4 psychic damage, and use its reaction to move half its speed and make a melee attack against a creature of the Wendigo's choice. It regains 10 points, hit points at the start of its turn unless it takes fire damage. Multi-attack, 3 attacks, 1 ravenous bite, or 2 gore, and 2 with its claws. So the bite is 2d6 plus 5 piercing, plus another 2d6 necrotic, and a DC 16 con saving throw, or become poisoned, and it looks like and disease. While poisoned, the target's wisdom score is reduced by 1d4 at the start of each of its turn. It will not cause the score to go below 3. When a target's score reaches 3, it becomes insane and ravenous. While in this state, the creature acts as an ally of the Wendigo, gains a bite attack, doing a d6 damage, and must spend its turn each turn making a bite attack against any of the foes of the Wendigo. Wisdom score reduction lasts until the target finishes a short or long rest. I'm running mine a slightly different way to include people getting Wendigo fever, which if over so long unchecked turns them into a Wendigo, which is pretty interesting and fun if your party's not keeping track of that. Claw attack, a d6 plus 5, gore attack, 2d8 plus 5, and then a baleful howl ability. Every enemy within 300 feet of the Wendigo that can hear it must succeed on a DC 16 wisdom saving throw, be frightened for a minute. A frightened target that starts a turn within 30 feet of the Wendigo uses all of its movement on that turn to get as far from the Wendigo as possible, must finish the move before taking an action, and must make the most direct route even if hazards lie in the way. Frightened target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turn, ending the effect on it on a success. If you succeed, you're immune for 24 hours. And lastly, I just wanted to do one NPC, and I wanted to do the Dreaddirt Singer because I thought it was really cool, and the art is pretty sweet. This is a bard that uses undead stuff. So, challenge rating 4, so it's not super strong, but if you go to the Dreaddirt Singer, that's sort of the thought process here. There's 2 versions of each. There's sort of a lower level version of each NPC, and then also a significantly higher version. But we're just going to look at the level 4 version here. We can see all the different spellcasting abilities that this bard type caster has. We can see a couple things, right? Blight, Animate Dead, so we're going to have some necrotic damage here. As a bonus action, it can perform a dirge that lasts until its next turn, and it has one of the following 3 effects: Song of Horror, Song of Sorrow, Song of the Profane. I also really like this because this reminds me of bards of old, where they had different sort of songs and inspiring courage and these different things that did different abilities. Song of Horror, provided it is incapacitated, an enemy that starts its turn within 60 feet that can hear it must make a wisdom saving throw or be frightened. Song of Sorrow, same thing, DC 14 Wisdom save. Start wailing and weeping in grief until the start of its next turn. Until this wailing and weeping ends, the target can't take actions or reactions, and its speed is halved and it can't be increased. And Song of the Profane, same thing, except the Dreaddirt Singer gains advantage on melee attacks and saving throws against features that turn undead. Any undead that starts its turn gains advantage on melee attack rolls and saving throws against turn undead. And then as a short sword, a d6 plus 2, a longbow, a d8 plus 2, and then March of the Dead, which I like. Up to 6 undead within 60 feet of the Dreaddirt Singer that can hear it can use their reaction to move up to half their speed. And I just thought that was really cool. Again, you can see there's a whole bunch of different things. I like that it's like Arcane Archer, Elite Arcane Archer, Arcane Trickster, Master Arcane Trickster. There's Artificers in here as well, which is pretty sweet. Cultists of the different Demon Lords here. There's also a couple of new spells, which are basically just unholy versions of holy versions of spells. So like there's a Holy Aura spell. There's an Unholy Aura spell here. Holy Weapon, the Unholy Weapon, and then Wall of Iron, which is one that does not exist, that just makes a wall made out of solid iron. So 3 new spells, a nice benefit. I would say from my quick look through them, I don't see anything wrong with these. They basically look, again, to just be the antithesis of spells that are similarly named. And, if a holy version is allowed, I don't see any reason why an unholy version shouldn't be allowed. So that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. Again, like I said, it was a review copy, but it was, it's still my opinion on it. There'll be a link in the description to this if you want to pick up a copy for yourself. But also, if you manage to stick through and make it through to the end, Dragonix, who supplied this to me to do a review on it, is going to be giving away 10 copies of this to viewers of my video. So what do you have to do? When this, you'll see there'll be a link in the description to different social medias where you can go ahead and check this out. All you got to do is share this video on social media, whether that be Twitter, Facebook, or what have you. Share it on there. I will choose 10 winners at random, and then I'll get your email address once you win, and then he will send you an email with a complimentary copy for you to download off the DMs Guild, which is pretty awesome. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this in the future. Also, if you like watching D&D things live, I do world building on Monday nights, I do gameplay on Tuesday nights, and character building on Wednesday nights, as well as my friend Celeste runs one-shots every other Sunday here on the channel. Link to the Twitch as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.